Hello, welcome in everybody. Welcome to your reading today. So in today's reading, we're going to be looking at a past life that has a message for you now. So this is one of your past lives that may want to bring through a particular message that you need to know right now. However, if you do feel like this is your first life, absolutely fine. Take this as a message from your soul. Okay, so we're going to pick 3 piles. Going back to the crystal cards, I like to swap between these crystal cards and the other crystal cards to help you pick. Okay. All right. Let's spread these out so the light's not shining on them. So we've got pile 1, 2, 3. Let's take a look at your cards today. For pile number 1, you have Malachite with pain relief, transformation, vision, and powerful protection. For pile number 2, you have Moldavite with healing, protection, telepathy, and connection. And for pile number 3, you have Amethyst with spiritual insight, creativity, psychic protection, and courage. All right, these will be your 3 piles to pick from today. Down in the description, you can have a look and see where your video starts. It'll jump straight to your video. I'll give you some time, but remember this is going to be about a message from a past life that you've had to your current life now. So it won't be talking about anything in that past life specifically unless it's part of the reading, but it's really a message for you right now that a past life may want to bring to your attention. All right, so I'll give you some time and I'll see you in your reading. Hello, welcome pile 1, welcome to your reading today. So you've chosen Malachite for your past life message, or message from your past life. Something that can help you now. This Malachite card comes with the message of pain relief, transformation, vision, and powerful protection. This did kind of feel like health, like related with the pain relief. It obviously bumps that up a bit, but it does feel like healing. So this could be, internal, external healing of some sort. So they may be coming through with that, and it's about starting to either heal through the pain or heal in time, or like things starting to shift in time. So we're going to leave that there and grab some more cards. Just introduce you to the cards. This one is the Archetype Cards. That's what they're called. Yep. By Caroline Myth. Yeah, we're going to take this one. Hopefully everyone's doing well halfway through the year, right? Well over probably now, but already made it halfway through, so lots of different things occurring around in the world. Really take ownership and hold on to focus with what's around you is really important now, I feel. Not to get caught up in the waves of whatever else is going on, especially if it doesn't serve you or pulls you into anger, fear, or something like that. I feel like that's just really an important message for the moment. Okay, these 2. These ones here are the sacred sites. This one here is the animal kin. I like there's two here. Just going to put them together. Actually, I might be able to just move it here. Maybe where should we go? Here? No. So this is Light Seers. This is obviously the mini version. Good for traveling. I'm gonna just grab one more. Ooh. And these cards. This is the Starlight cards. These are like kind of like affirmations or just quick messages. All right, so it's all structured quite nicely. So we'll take a look at your reading today, a message from your past life that you need to hear now. You've got Damsel. So the light attribute says, understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you to rely on yourself. Shadow is waiting for a knight to provide for you seduction by romantic illusions. So maybe healing and overcoming something that's kept you kind of like stuck in a way, or something that was, you know, like certain expectations just not being met. There's definitely like some learning from this. It could have been through a relationship if the damsel's coming through, but I feel like they're just really coming through with like, this is your opportunity, whereas in the past you may have felt less empowered. Now this is about empowering yourself regardless of what's happened. Do not let your circumstances dictate what's coming through or the future. So that's coming through quite strongly. You've got Shamanka, and again, this kind of like shaman energy, right? I don't know the card exactly. I'll have to have a look in the book. But Shamanka just feels like shamanic journey, like healing through while on a path rather than sitting and healing. So there's no waiting like this energy. This is about active growth and active shift, active healing. Just gonna grab the book and get that ready. I don't believe I've seen this one too much, that's why I don't know it too well. You also have Mount Shasta, so these two are very tied with the United States, right? I'm assuming this may not be the United States, but it's like around the North American kind of area. Mount Shasta, I feel like most spiritual people will know about it. I had no idea about it a few years ago until I got kind of like pushed, let's say, into spirituality. And like when I heard about it, I was like, oh, there's something there that's really interesting. Haven't been there, probably won't go there in this lifetime. I'm not too sure, but definitely really nice. You know, the transformation feels like it's not just about leaving the hurt and pain. It's about transforming it and actually enlightening self, not being enlightened or blessed by someone else. This is blessing yourself. So I feel like they're putting a lot of emphasis on using your own energy for the greater good, let's say. But we'll have a look at Shamanka. So it's north facing. Oh no, this is actually Russia. Okay, my bad. So Siberia. So the energy focus is shamanism. Now, because we're getting this from a past life, I'm going to look at the past message in here. It talks about the history of this particular area. So it says here, in a Serbian legend, Bear son of the supreme being was cradled in golden light as he was lowered to earth, bringing knowledge of fire, of hunting with weapons, of honesty and justice. He was instructed never to attack humans, but he forgot. So men killed him, taking possessions of the fire and the weapons, marking the cycle of life. Fear transitioned from the sky to the earth and back to the stars, where he became the Great Bear constellation. Once there was no distinction between people, animal, and birds, the shaman walked between the worlds and was able to shapeshift to become one with all life. It's interesting just touching on that kind of like message, because it does feel like this is like lessons learned, right? Going through some difficulty, actually starting to trust self, even if you were with, like, say, an ex who, you know, made you feel, or like but made a lot of impression that you had to believe in them or something like that, you know, that kind of like seesaw relationship. And this is about overcoming that and getting out of this like illusion idea of what a relationship or what things should be, and be like, that wasn't like for my highest good, or wasn't great, so now I'm going to move into like, what do I need out of this in this moment. This is really important. It's like, this moment is really important, even though this is what the message is about, like, you know, the past life talking to what do you need now. It's about checking in with self, basically, to grow and heal and make sure that you're not stuck in any old patterns or any assumed society norms, especially if they don't relate. Some society norms relate, so that's fine. Okay, Mount Shasta. This is west. All right, this talks about serenity. And serenity, to me, especially next to the damsel, is trying to find a good balance between who you are, who you were, where you're going, and how you change, because no one really stays the same exactly. Some people will try very hard to keep everything the same, but, you know, regardless, there's always going to be change. You can't stop change. Okay, let's take a quick look at this one. Yeah, it says here there's a sacred spring. It talks about like the past section of this card. It says there's a sacred spring here where you can let go of all that no longer serves you. Now, with your eagle feather, focus on what is to come. The eagle feather is given for courage and is the highest honor that can be bestowed upon you by the Great Spirit. You're being called to release your negative perspectives on your times of crisis and instead see them as rites of passage through which you can transition from one stage to another in life. And that's really where the transformation and pain relief kind of comes in. It's not about ignoring what has happened or forgetting. It's about empowering self with, regardless of what has happened, not letting the circumstance define you. Okay, getting really into it, aren't we? You've got luck, so they're saying this is a great time. They're almost like saying you're lucky to be in this life. You might not feel like that all the time, but I was watching something. It was like, oh, the past was better in this way, that way. And I was looking at it and I was like, you know, people back then didn't have flushing toilets. They didn't have running water. They didn't have clean water. They didn't have access to medicine. They didn't have hot water available to shower. There was no such thing as a shower, you know, it was baths and that kind of thing. So, you know, there was a lot of messages of change and shift, you know, that kind of stuff. And humans being humans, just being dissatisfied with certain things all the time, right? So take note of the small things as well. Be grateful and have gratitude for what you have and what you've created and who you are, because those are all important. But luck really highlighting in the middle. This does feel like it's a good time to make some really good shifts in your life. I like this. This is Dragonfly again, touching on transformation because it's change. So there's a lot of that energy coming through with your reading today, Pile 1. But this is also touching on imagination. I really like that. You know, when you think about it, let's say there was no butterflies in the world. There's nothing that really transformed as greatly. So there was no frogs, tadpoles, that kind of thing. You know, it would be like a big imagination if someone created a storybook or a fantasy with something that went from a grub to a chrysalis to a butterfly, right? If we didn't have proof of those kind of things every day, we probably wouldn't believe them. I've also talked about that with a friend with giraffes, right? We wouldn't have believed anything could look like that until we had them in the world. And so we've got them in the world. So I feel like this is really saying, do not limit yourself in any way. Imagination is not a child's toy. It's really something to help you break free of any patterns. Your imagination is really strong here. So inner child could also come up with this card, I feel. But a great time to start to make headway in ways that you might have in the past believed were never possible. Again, transform, like, you know, this chameleon, very, you know, kind of, what do they do? What are they called? Chromatophores? Is that what the color things are called? Anyway, they can change their color so that they can blend into the environment and probably communicate as well with the same species. But here we're talking about energy. This is about refilling your cup, getting your cup back. This isn't about someone else doing it for you. This is about you doing it for yourself. So the past life is like really strong in supporting you through whatever you've gone through. And I feel like, I mean, I don't know how it all works, right? Sometimes I call past lives alternate lives because they're running the same time kind of thing, even though they're not in the same time, if that makes sense. But look, if I go down there, I'll go into a rabbit hole. But it does feel like they, you know, you're supporting them by living this life and they're supporting you by living their lives, or have lived their life if you want to look at it in the past sense. So I like this. This is about gaining your own colors, getting your own kind of like decision and empowerment back. All right, let's take a look at these cards. So you've got the Two of Wands. I like this because this is really about, hey, you've got the whole world kind of in your hands. You can decide what you want to do with this. There's no rush. You're not here to be pushed and just be a victim of circumstance. You're really here to make what you want of this life. Yeah, this is all about building your own strength back up. Like there is a fiery aspect to it, of course, being wands, right? But it's really about that inner fire and understanding and knowing what that is, and then starting to bring that out in your world. The Queen of Wands, to me, traditionally and probably now anyway, if it's not traditional, but I always feel like she is someone who has started to look more inwards and focus on her own and getting gratification from herself rather than from the external, right? Instead of being like, I'm going to wear this pretty dress, hopefully people say I look pretty, or I'm going to wear this great business suit, hopefully people talk about how snazzy I'm dressing, or these shoes, when they look at them they know that I'm wealthy or whatever, when really it's not. Like, you can wear all that, that's not a problem, but how do you feel about it as you know, male, female, whoever you are, because that's where the true benefit comes from. Okay, I'm going to leave that. All right, like I said, it takes some time. You're able to make a lot of progress. But talking about release, I don't feel like there's a big overarching theme of like you need to release. This is like taking time and releasing one by one, step by step. You spend money, you do things, you spend energy to head towards a goal. Like the bare feet on the ground, you know, it's like you know how people say go touch grass. It's kind of like that, getting connected back with like what's really important, not what the facades of earth have kind of laid upon you. Some of those are fun, right? But it's kind of like if you go and watch a movie, you don't go afterwards like that was real, right? If you've watched, like, I don't know, Monsters Inc. or something, it's like you're going to go check the cupboards and you're going to go, like, you don't start to believe the fantasy. This is like really connecting with what's important and what's real, let's say. Okay, and able to make progress, right? It's a horse. It's a horse. It's a knight. So, but he does get on the horse and go forward once he's planned, strategized, and made decisions. He doesn't, like, in his like kind of not really shadow, but in something that's holds him back is procrastination. So, you know, while you don't have to rush into anything, don't also hold yourself back. If you wanted to go do something, go do it. yeah, I feel like this is true. It's breaking away from happenstance, circumstance, the devil card. Kind of intoxicating, right? It's easy to get caught up in the illusions of life, and what's happened to you being XYZ, and then saying, okay, I'm going to use XYZ as a badge of who I am. Don't have to do that. You can if you want to, but you're here to decide what that is, not to get sucked into the illusion of life. It's really interesting because this past life just feels like they've kind of figured stuff out. Maybe they've realized that it is kind of all an illusion. We don't have to. It's not like when I say illusion that it doesn't matter. It still matters. Everything matters. If I go watch a movie, it still matters that I watched it, right? And I can still learn themes from it. That doesn't mean it's nothing. There's still like lessons and growth in there. Some people watch movies and can be very profound on their life, right? So this life that we're living is very profound. We can do what we want with it. They're just really saying don't get caught up in the drama of it as well. And don't get caught up in the drama of your past. I think that's where the releasing is coming through. Excuse me. All right, lastly, breathe stardust in. It says inhale stardust, exhale magic. Don't inhale any kind of dust really, but you know what it means. It's kind of like coming back to the imagination. It's just like, breathe, like take note of what's around you and what you enjoy in life. Even if you're like rushing off to the office, but you walk through a park, have a look at the grass, look around at the trees. You don't have to stop, just like be present, be aware of what's around you. I feel like that's how you can get into a good mindset, good state of mind to deal with whatever's to come. But I will say the past life is really touching on, you've already gone through some of the more heavier stuff. That does not mean that things won't come up in the future, but I feel like there's no more heavy stuff. There's things that you'll probably more expect, or certain things that are going to be challenging if they come up. But yeah, it's like you've already gone through the hard stuff. Now it's kind of like, who are you now with that has happened in the past? I feel like the past life will be watching with like anticipation, but the ladybug does give you like, this is a good time. Excuse me. This is a good time for growth. And speaking truth into your life as well. Not being like, woe is me, or, where is the person who's going to save me? This isn't about being saved. And I think you've already passed this. But I think this past life might even be kind of like this, like waiting for something. And maybe that's why they're finished and know that, oh, wow, I missed this opportunity, that kind of thing. And they just want to make sure that for you have all the empowerment, all the support from them as well. Or maybe they've actually succeeded and they want you to succeed in your own individual way as well. Who knows? I wouldn't say any past life, even if it didn't end well or everything didn't go to plan, that it was like a fail. I think everything there would be a success. There's always growth and learning from everything, right? Anyway, really interesting cards, pile number 1. I know I kind of flew through it. It felt like we went slow and then we sped up. And that's what I think this is the whole point of this reading, is to like, yeah, the first parts of your life were where the challenges went, or like some of the key milestone type challenges came through. But this is still saying, hey, this is a good time. This is a good space to be in. You're here now. You're able to connect with all people over the world, right? Imagine if you were in like, I don't know, 1820 or something like that. Like, it's a completely different world back then. Probably couldn't vote if you're one. Like, that kind of stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff that was back then, had way more restrictions. So don't keep those restrictions and keep them with you. You can overcome them. And I think that kind of breaks free of some of the old past life energy as well. It like frees you. Essentially, you are free. Don't have to stay stuck with this like illusion or devil card. Okay, that is what I see in your cards today. Take some time, think about this reading as well and how it relates to your life. Even if you're on the path of progress and growth, this is a good reflection on where you've been and where you're going now. And I do love this empowerment with the Queen of Wands, because you can even see here she's got like, you know, the world in her hand, or like this, the light, following the light in her hand. She's got control over it as well, as just as much as, I don't know, there's no just as much as anything, but she just does have control, some form of control over what she has control over, right? All right, I'm going to leave that there before I keep going into word talk. Thank you so much for letting me read for you today, Pile 1. Take care of yourself and take care of your past life as well. I feel like they're really strong coming through. But yeah, take care, and I'll see you next time. Welcome, Pile number 2 to your reading. So you've chosen today Moldavite with healing, protection, telepathy, and connection. All right. So, not getting too much with the Moldavite straight away. The only part of this I feel like is going to be really strong is this connection, this telepathy energy. Which telepathy makes me just think of connection anyway. Obviously, it's about reading minds, I think. Pretty sure, yeah, reading, or like, you know, the idea of being able to read someone's energy signals. And yeah, we'll see how this one plays out. I actually want to use these cards first, I think. Okay, so this is a message from your past life to now, to your current life. You could call it alternative life, past life. They all really touch on similar energy for me when we talk about the past or an alternative type style life. They're definitely coming out pretty strong today with very clear messages, I feel, which I quite like. Doesn't seem like there's any nonsense with the past lives today. All right, so the idea is this will help you with whatever is happening in your life now to, you know, maintain that, remove it if it's something you want removed, you know, whatever this will be will help just remind you of who you are. And I think a past life really does help with that, because they've kind of, I mean, they're going through a different thing, probably have slightly different goals, right? But it's still at the core you. It's still a message from you, just in a very different form. Oh, okay, and I'm going to take this one. Lastly, I'll just grab a, pull these down. Oh, this is off camera. Grab one of these cards. These cards are the Starlight cards. Cool. Okay, let's take a look at your reading pile number 2. So you have Prince. The light attribute talks about romantic charity, romantic charm and potential for power. And in the shadow it says using power for self-aggrandizement. Okay. Definitely feels like a shift, or like in your past, or even in this past life, that they kind of want to play on to potentially this life. It's shifting from inner focus to outer, and I don't mean like the outer things bringing you inner gratification. It's more like starting to let the true self come through and start to think of like service and that kind of thing. Being in, like, you know, a prince would be in a higher position. They have an opportunity to just hoard more stuff or get more things, or they have an opportunity to really like share the wealth, right? So this is about, yeah, definitely about your connections, whether it's a relationship, romantic, partnerships, friendships, work colleagues, you know, family, etc., etc., etc. Okay, interesting. You also have Mount Tai, I think you're coming out of an illusion and into something like you're on the precipice, I guess, is how this feels, of coming out of the clouds, or coming out of what you thought was going to bring peace, happiness into your world. And it's like, oh, actually supporting those around me, because I'm not seeing them as lesser or greater than me. It's just like equals. It's kind of like that, coming into like a, I don't know. I like, that's why I'm like, this is like in a kind of like out of the clouds and into reality, or into what's more important in the world. But really feeling it, not just doing it because that's what you think what good people sound like, you know what I mean? This is about really feeling it. Okay, interesting. You also have the Bandiagara Cliffs. Looks like somewhere in Africa. So let's take a look at this one, because I don't know this one, but this one's really interesting. It's kind of like a wacky looking aura in the background. Okay. So I'm going to read both of them. So this one's facing the east, this one's facing the south. They have like little directions. So I'm just going to start with this one because I want to see what the main message behind Mount Tai is. So Mount Tai is in Shandong, China, and this one's talking about achievement. So it does feel like you've already gained a particular goal. Maybe you wanted to have a house when you were young, and so you've got that, right? That was one of your goals, or was to have children, or was to you know, have something, a particular thing. You've kind of mastered, I think, part of like a certain section of your goals in this lifetime. So now this is like the transition to something different, some kind of different mindset. You might even look back and be like, I never thought I'd go this way. But this is like part of how the past life is bringing it through. So I'm going to read the past section of this because we're coming from a past life, and it says here, what have you learnt about duality? See the taijitsu, the yin and the yang symbol on the card that represents perfect balance and reflects the necessity to live fully. If we only listen to one version of a story, that God is male, for example, or life is imbalanced, dark and light, moon and sun, death and life, are some of the yin and yang paired energies. There are no right or wrong elements. Do you perceive that energy of the dragon on which the taijitsu is placed? A Chinese dragon embodies wisdom, power, and good fortune, a positive perspective. That's a good way of putting it, a positive perspective, seeing things in the light. It's like when we talk about, you know, good over evil type thing, and we're just focusing on what we perceive as good. Many different people in the world have a different idea of what that looks like, right? Hence why there's like disagreements, wars, etc. So it says here, and yet in the West, the dragon is seen as a negative, destructive being that must be slain. Maybe you need to bring some dragon energy into your life to burn through obstacles and fire up to reach your goals. To advance spiritually, you must understand the concept of yin and yang and bring your world into balance. So really interesting, and especially like here, right, a prince kind of like is old school. We don't really have, I mean, there's still princes, but they're more, I mean, kings, queens, all that are around now do not really hold power. They just are kind of like celebrities for their bloodline, let's say, or just how they were born. So they're more celebrities now, but back then it was more like they had lots of responsibilities, they had lots of expectations, and it was back in the past, was very much like women are here, men are here, you know, especially if it was even in the higher kind of class citizens or even kings and queens, like it was always, the title was always going to the oldest male son. And then when it went down the list, it went to the next male in line somewhere. It was always like very that. And so females had a very different play in the game, let's say, back then, with influence as well. It wasn't just like all one-sided, but it was very like skewed. So now I think this is talking about internal balance, internal things, and what you can do for the external. It's kind of like the Six of Pentacles when they're sharing out the coins to the poor. It's kind of like keeping that balance. So it does feel like service. Okay, so let's have a look at the Bandiagara Cliffs. Okay, this is in Mali. So Mali, Africa. And this is about identity. Really interesting here. You're talking about yin and yang and balance, and we're talking about identity here. So who are you? It's like the past life, especially if you're someone who focuses heavily on the past and past lives, especially. This is not about them recreating through in this life. This is about who you are and what you want to bring through in this life. The past lives are really more support and empowerment rather than reliving and, you know, being like, I'm this or that is my past life. If it is or if it isn't, doesn't really matter. Who are you now? Okay, so let's have a look at the past. It says, how often have your accounts of visions or unusual experiences been ignored or ridiculed? Have you ever shunned, medicated, or even hospitalized because you voiced these? Sorry, you voiced these. Well, the Dogon shrines of the Bandiagara Cliffs tell you that your experiences are real. You are neither crazy nor stupid. The story of the Dogon people of Mali may go back more than 50,000 years to a time when their ancestral gods, the Nomo, represented on this card by the fish-tailed symbol, are said to have descended from the sky in what sounds like a spaceship amid thunder and fire. What stories about your origins and past have made you what you are today? Here in the lower world resides all the visions, dreams, and memories that shape your identity. If you have been masking your true self from the world for fear of rejection and persecution, be aware that the Dogon use masks not to hide that's what's within, but to accentuate the particular assets or quality. So that's a really interesting way of putting it, right? Because we generally see masks as hidden, but it's like it shows very clear of what kind of like being this is. So it's kind of like putting your truth out there, if you wanted to put that in a better word. But yeah, who are you in this world? That's really interesting. Who are you around yourself, around others? You know, it's just about living truthfully. I feel this past life wants to come through. You've got intelligence. That's what it's like. You've gone through many things that have built you up to who you are today, but like the past doesn't have to dictate who you are now. That's coming through pretty strong. So it is good to be in this energy of wisdom and growth and intelligence, like learning and evolving. And I feel like that's what you're doing. You know, an octopus can lose a tentacle and it can grow back and it still lives, right? It doesn't stop it or slow it down. Well, it probably slows it down for a bit. Oh, and then we go, you got the owl talking about wisdom. So this one is intuition, and this is trusting yourself. I feel like you've been given a lot of guidance at the moment to, I don't know, it's to either push something forward, we'll have a look in these cards, or to bring something out that's within you. We'll have a look. But intuition, definitely trusting on intuition. Remember, this is in the center of your reading. These are important. This is about really trusting self, believing in yourself. Speaking of believing in yourself, you've got the Page of Swords. You can see here, she's holding a book. She's overcoming like a potential obstacle with ease. So it's like the future problems will be easy because you've got great ideas or you've learnt from past experiences to be able to handle anything that pops up. Maybe in the past when you saw this ledge, it might break someone down or it might even break you down. But now it's going to be something that you barely even need to pay attention to because it's just it's just part of life, let's say. You've got the Nine of Cups, really interesting because it kind of looks like she's going here and then goes here and jumps off. You know, it's Nine of Cups is all about dreams coming true, being able to get what you want. and really express your ideals freely. They can shift and change from the past too. That's not a problem. Sometimes they get stuck in the past and stay in the past, and we need to bring them to the future. So really have a look at that and what's important to you, because dreams coming true is like you're going to get what you want out of this life if you want to put like time, planning, energy into it, if that's what you want. Yeah, right next to the star. So this is like dreams coming true, and this is the dreamer or the person who is following a goal. You can see it's attached to her heart space. So it is something that she's more following as a guiding light, and he's like kind of experiencing it as part of the journey and story. So you're kind of coming out of the clouds, let's say, and up into, and I guess we would call it enlightenment, but it's like into the light, I would say. Okay, you've got another page. This is the Page of Pentacles. I would say this is a new beginning for you, or a new space for you. Some of your beliefs are starting to shift potentially, and this past life is just like, yeah, this is what I've kind of gone through in the past, and so you're also going through in your own unique way in this in this timeline, or in this space, 2024 that we're in at the moment. I like this, especially in conjunction with like this card, the the Page of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups. You are really able to birth what you want. This Empress, while it is in a feminine form, she's also an action card. This isn't a sitting back card. This is an action card, taking action on what you want to see, moving so far beyond what even the past life could have imagined in that life, like having the ability to really, really make some progress or some kind of growth. Yeah, and definitely seeing success. See, these two are just expressing themselves freely. Kind of looks like Coachella or something like that, right? But it really, like, if we look at it just from without all the anything else, they're just expressing themselves and having fun. That's it. And this is the Four of Wands is about homecoming, achievements, milestones being reached, that kind of thing. So it does feel like you've come into like a really good place. You're out of like whatever was the past. And you're into a space of, I feel like, enlightenment. It really does feel like, or at least that's how the past life feels. It's like if they looked at this, they would feel like, wow, the progress has turned into enlightenment. So whatever's here in the future will be up to how you connect with people. I think if you're an introverted sort of person, there is an opportunity to not burn yourself out with extrovert or like social activities, but there is an opportunity to kind of dedicate some time to the external, to connection with others, which might be where the challenging thing is. But look, you're well equipped. You're overqualified for whatever's to come. You've got Replenish. It says the sun will rise and we will try again. Yeah, so look, I like this card because it's saying that we don't really fail. We just learn from whatever's occurred. And you might be thinking, well, this happened in the past, that happened in the past. That doesn't have to stop you from being the dreamer and the, the kind of like bright spark. And this kind of grounds it. I do like that the air and the earth kind of elements are here in both the page, because it's like that beginning, but it's grounded, and it's also, in the sky as well. So it's like no limits. It feels very unlimited. Okay, well, that is all I've got for this one. I don't think there's anything else to really say. Hopefully this has helped you. Really nice cards again here. Trust what you know, trust the intuition that comes through. Also question sometimes the messages that come through. Does it feel like that's a response of fear or anger? And that's what my intuition is telling me. That's not intuition, right? That's ego. So just be mindful of that. But everything else feels really, really good. This could be a time of healing just because this card came through with the healing protection. I feel like it's more of a protected time to progress and dive into something completely different and completely new. Okay. Thank you so much for letting me read for you, Pile 2. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next reading. Hello, hello. Welcome in Pile 3. Welcome to your reading. So remember, this is a message from your past life, and it's a message for you now. This can be also your soul, if you feel that you do not have any past lives, of course. But you've got the Amethyst with spiritual insight, creativity, psychic protection, and courage. So it's going to be an interesting one. I don't get too much from here. The first kind of energy that I did get through is like very potent, magical style energy. So we can see what that means. That could be, speculative type, is like having high potential to be able to do the things that you actually want to do, that you want to do, not what other people want you to do, that you feel like you want to do. But we'll have a look. See what comes through. Okay, message from your past life that you need to hear now. Take these ones first. Okay, take these two. If I can grab them. Oh. Yeah, it's a very interesting reading to do. I don't usually touch on kind of, well, I mean, it's mixed, right? But when I was in meditation, it was very clear that this was the correct reading. So sometimes it's nice to do a quick meditation before doing the reading, especially if you don't know what kind of reading you would like to do. But this one's very clear on what it wanted to come through as. It's interesting because I was doing a meditation on the void, sitting in the void, not really asking or trying to get anything. It was just seeing what came through. So that was quite fun. And yeah, this message just kind of came through, and it came through in a very strange way. It was more like I just knew it mentally, but what I visually kind of saw was like lights, I guess, like coming in, going out, and then like water kind of falling and pulling away. So you'd think, well, how does that work with past life? I don't know. That's just how it came through, and I just knew from that, and what I felt was a past life reading was correct. Not so much a past life, but a message from a past life to today. Okay. Take these two. I'm going to take this one sticking out. Okay. We'll take these two. Okay, and lastly, I'm going to grab a Starlight card, just a nice little message to, well, wrap up the reading. Okay, let's take a look at your reading today, pile number 3. So you've got the servant. In the light attribute, the servant talks about delight in serving others with a free and loving heart. And the shadow, it says, using a lack of money as an excuse not to move forward in life. So interesting. That could be part of like this past life as well, right? Being of service doesn't mean you had to be like, what do they call them? I guess it would be just like a servant or something like that, or like whether you were paid or not, working kind of like for another family, that kind of thing. But this does kind of touch on partially some of the shadow, like using excuses, right, to not be able to do something, or if I had that, I'd be able to get that. I remember hearing someone said, well, if I won lotto, I would exercise and get fit because then I'd have something to kind of like live for. And that's kind of saying that whatever you've got now isn't enough to like worth your time to live for. You're just going to like coast, I guess. And like, that's fine if that's what they feel, but it's an excuse, right? It's kind of like you can still do all those things, exercise or whatever, whatever you really want. You can start making the plans to get those goals. It's not like everyone just puts their hand out and waits until the lotto comes along, right? I don't know, it's interesting. But we'll have a look at that one. You also have, what is this? Santiago de Compostela. So I have no idea about this card. I'll have to have a look at it. Looks like a huge church. was just reading the writing. I've never actually pulled this card, so this is the first time I've seen it. And you've also got Ashtishka. Okay, this looks like a Zoroastrianism type energy. Alright, so interesting that these two are very kind of like religious cards or touch on religious symbology. So I'm going to have a look at the Santiago de Compostela. Probably saying that wrong, but that is how I see it. Alright, so this is in Spain, and the key word here is reconciliation. Reconciliation. That is interesting. That makes it like immediately with that card, it's like this is a life to clear something that was happened in the past, that this past life is connected to, or it's like the good karma, let's say, of whatever happened in the past. There's certain aspects of that coming through. It's probably a mixture of both, but it does feel like that's very true. So this is in Galicia, Spain, and I'll read the past section of this card since we're talking to a past life. It says this card shows a modern-day pilgrim's passport used on the Camino de Santiago, the way of St. James. The scallop shell is the symbol of this legendary pilgrimage, while the dagger cross of St. James represents the apostles' beheading. Lovely. Several legends associate scallop shells with St. James. In one, a knight fell into the sea and called on the saint for help. When he was finally washed ashore, he was covered in shells, which had protected him from the harsh rocks. Notice how the grooves in the shell meet in a single point. This represents the various routes pilgrims travel in to arrive to the tomb of St. James. It is your soul crying out for you to visit a holy place, somewhere sacred, or perhaps somewhere special to you. This is a nice one. It could be even like, honestly, it could be even just like going to, doesn't have to be super spiritual. It could be just somewhere where you feel happy and healthy, right? To, I don't know, a certain restaurant even that you're taken as a kid for nostalgia, or to a lake or a lake house, you know, something like that, or just to a park. You know, it's your choice. It doesn't have to be necessarily spiritual or religious, because I think everywhere in a sense has spiritual energy. Everywhere is spiritual, wherever there's people, land, plants, animals, anything that's a thing, right? Anything living or non-living, to me, is spiritual anyway. Maybe you feel, it says here, or maybe you feel you really need to make the effort to travel to a certain person face-to-face, to see a certain person face-to-face. Whether you spend a week or just an afternoon on it, follow your instincts and make your own pilgrimage. You are being pulled to heal the past and find reconciliation for yourself and others. That's really interesting, especially if there was something like this, especially if you were the servant, or even if you were the lady or the lord or whatever that had servants. So interesting message. Again, I feel like I'm getting bits of the picture for your reading. They're not giving me like the full theme straight away, which is kind of fun. All right, so this one is north again. All right, number 72. So this is in Azerbaijan, in Baku, which I believe is the capital, right? I don't know. But this is ignition, which makes a lot of sense with the flame. So it's just like the spark. It says here, you're called to the land of the sacred fire on Azerbaijan's Absheron Peninsula, where in past centuries, mysterious flames rising from the earth drew pilgrims to the Zoroastrian fire worship temple of Ashtishka. What image comes to your mind now, thinking about this place? The experience would have been mystical, otherworldly, frightening. Do you envisage a sort of hell associated with fire and with destruction? Or do you see fire cleansing power? Make space for new life. Goodness, the way it's written is really hard for my mouth to move around. It says here, fire has been honored as sacred by many cultures, and in truth, flames are healing. The symbol on the card represents the divine spark and everlasting life. Have you created a personal hell that needs to be transformed? Look within the flames and let them show you what to do. What a wild card. You know, just that conversation and imagery. There's like this going on a path of pilgrimage or to cleanse and reconciliation, especially with this kind of a card, just with the like looking of it, it feels like cleansing something that also relates to a past life. So you might have not gone through a particular thing in this life, but there's like an energy that has crossed over or that you're still holding on to. This just needs to be released. Might want to go on that kind of journey, right? This will help level up or hold your spirits high. That's why the spiritual insight's here, because this is something that's like, you know how people will go to doctors and stuff and it won't be, look, I would say 9 times out of 10 it probably is something medical or something like some kind of healer can help with, but there are some things that attach that we hold on to, and it's not like they've attached to us, we've decided to take this with us, so we can decide to let it go. But we'll see what else comes through. So really interesting message coming through for you, pile 3. Very different. Oh, okay. Speaking of different, this came up in pile 1, same position. You've got the lady beetle with luck. Really just feels like this is a good time to be able to sort through a lot of stuff. This could also be a lucky time for you to get whatever this is leveled up, cleared away, however you need to soothe it. Oh, and another beetle. So, you know, very connected with Earth, I feel beetles are, even though ladybugs can fly, it does feel like, you know, that connection with Earth for some reason. So you've got this beetle with purity, and right next to the fire, this is definitely double downing on this is a cleansing opportunity, an opportunity to let go of something, let go of an old story, let go of an old story that's not even part of this life, right? We carry around enough baggage from this life. We don't need to carry it around from the past life. And it might not even be baggage. It could even be like a blessing from a past life that we need to like let free and enjoy. So, like I said at the start, it could be both, a mixture of one or the other, or it could be just one. All right, you've got the 10 of Pentacles. Really, really nice. This is feeling pretty positive, like with what you could do, what you could bring into your life too, what you can experience. This is about pure safety and knowing that the physical 3D is absolutely fine. The focus on here is more of your spiritual side. And you might think, well, I don't have this. Like I said, with the person waiting for the money before they actually enjoyed life, you know, this is your opportunity. Regardless of all the other situations, there's something that you can do to start to experience or to let go of something. I'm not too sure. It's going to be different for each individual, but both those themes feel true. And honestly, releasing stuff does let you see what's important anyway, so both are true essentially. You've got the Queen of Wands, really nice. She's come through a couple of times. Queen of Wands for me represents our passions, but also seeing ourselves as, you know, important, putting ourselves first, that kind of thing. You have the Page of Cups. I like that you have the Page and the Knight of Cups because they have like a lot of high, good, positive soul, right? He's looking at the guy floating, when it's got when pigs fly, right? It's like pigs are flying right now. There's a pig flying, there's a guy flying. So it really is touching on breaking through limits or feeling the energy of like a good, healthy life or a good, positive present and future for you. The past life is like you can have it all type thing. You've also got the Five of Swords, and you can see here, this is the transition from the past into the future. Really nice energy here of where it might have felt like there was like a win-loss, but you can see this guy floating again. So I guess you're on some like kind of wild, fun, interesting, confusing, etc. spiritual journey. Okay, and we're finishing off with the tarot with the Seven of Swords. Always comes up with like, you know, deception, deceit, but also wise counsel, getting good information, intel, because traditionally he's stealing the swords, but he's not stealing it from his own people. He's stealing from the enemy, right? Which can be seen as dishonoring, but it's also an opportunity to grow. I would say it's probably not too much of that. It's just letting the voice be heard, letting the secrets out, shining that internal, like the moonlight, outwardly. So it's like our true self coming through. Instead of letting it mill with us. You might be one of those people who reads a lot of comments or something and then gets pissed off by it. This is like releasing that and just feeling the love, I guess, feeling the high energy. Like I said, this is a big long story, but yeah, at the end you've got trust. It says the light in you cannot be dimmed. Like I said here, with this bright light internally coming through. So the trust is really like self-belief, belief in self, but also trusting that things will come through. It's not like I'm going to rely on God or deities or whatever you believe in to provide this for me. I just know it will come through in the time it needs to come through. I'm not going to spend too much time worrying or focusing on it because I know it'll happen. Because I'm following my intuition with what I'm doing now. So there is two sides to this. There's like a gift coming through, an opportunity of expansion with it, letting this gift out, or it's or like even if it's internal, identifying it and letting it through, or this is letting go of something that could be even from a past life. There's like an opportunity. I feel like the true gift is that this is either a blessing or like something to release. However, they both feel like the blessings anyway. Releasing old pain is a blessing. Do you know what I mean? And even like letting something that's internal outward is a blessing as well, even if it might feel like a bit of a curse because it's like part of who we truly are. But nothing about you that is real is bad. That's what I would say. All right, so there's a lot here to go through. I feel like that is where we'll end this particular reading. Hopefully this has really helped you. Know that this is a good time for cleansing and self-expression. You do have some kind of like past life thing that's very attached. This past life is very connected, rather, not attached, but connected to this life, and it's for you to like, I don't know, carry the flame or carry the torch through this life. Like it feels like they're passing the baton to you to, you know, run the relay race or swim the relay race. Okay, I'm gonna leave that there. Thank you so much for letting me read for you, pile 3. Hopefully this has really helped you. It gives you some insight into what this may be about. This is, you might be like, well, what is this? This is going to be something internal that you can feel. So take heart with that. But otherwise, take care of yourself. See you next time. Goodbye.